This is Coach Mike. This is Coach Mikey. Today, we're going to talk about the 180 and the 360 jumps. So the very first thing that we need to do is just teach the kids how to jump up and to be able to jump, push through their toes, and get off the ground. So we're going to watch these guys jump on three. 1, 2, 3, jump. See, they're getting high, they're getting elevated because they're pushing all the way through their toes. The next thing they need to be able to do is understand what a 180 is. So these guys are going to go ahead and turn around right now to a 180, and they're going to turn back to a 180. And then you're going to combine those, so they're going to jump and turn. And the next progression that we're going to do is just the 360. So on 3, they're going to turn around and do a 360. 1, 2, 3, 360. Perfect. And do that with your classes too. That way all the kids are moving at the same time. And then you just combine the jump and the 360. 1, 2, 3, jump, 360. And then some of the times, the kids just like to jump. And that's your 180 and 360 video. By the way, some of the mistakes that we see, sometimes kids will turn their head the wrong way when they do a twist. That does happen. We got to make sure the kids understand that if they're twisting to the right, they need to look to the right. Another thing that we see is the kids don't land on their feet. When they'll jump around, they'll spin, and they'll just not land on their feet correctly. Their feet will be not under them, so they got to make sure they keep a tight body. Another thing that we see is the kids aren't looking and keeping their eye on a target when they spin. So what you need to do is have the kids look straight, jump all the way around, and be looking at the same target when they.
What's up, guys? This is Coach Danny. Today he's going to be helping us out with the precision jump. So first off, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure that your feet are together, your arms are up, and that you're going to swing them back. And when you swing your arms back, bend your knees, and as you jump up, you're going to swing your arms up and extend your legs so that you can do the precision jump. When you land, make sure your legs are bent and your arms out in front of you to help you balance. And then Coach Danny is going to be doing a jump from right here to this line, keeping the same technique. Landing with his legs bent so that he keeps his balance. And now he's going to be jumping from an elevated surface to a lower surface, making sure that his legs are bent, keeping his legs tucked in the air, and landing with his legs bent. Now he's going to be jumping from low to high. Make sure that you land on the balls of your feet. Right here, you're going to land on the forward half of your foot, not the back half. You don't want to land on your heels. That's your precision jump. By the way, guys, here are 3 common mistakes with the precision jump. First, we want to make sure we do not land on our heels, because if we land on our heels, we might slip out, so we can't land on our block and stay on it. So another one that a lot of people do is keeping our legs straight when you jump and when you land. We want to make sure we bend our legs and we don't keep them straight, because if we do that, all the shock gets sent up our whole bodies and it can hurt a lot and it's not good for your knees. Another thing is jumping too far. If you want to land on your object, you need to jump higher, then further. If you jump too far, you'll have a hard time sticking it and you'll fall off. So you want to make sure that you jump higher.
Go.
Hey guys, this is Coach Michael, and we're going to do some clears. So the first progression of a clear is just running and hurdling over a very small obstacle. That's all a clear is. It's just a hurdle over an obstacle. It's not a vault. You're not going to vault. You're not going to do a safety vault over a pile of broken glass or over a sleeping lion. You're going to clear it. That's what a clear is. So then after they can go over a small obstacle, you're going to build it up a little bit. You can use foam blocks for this. You can use our cart blocks. I like the cart blocks because then you can put them up and make them taller, and then they're really easy to tip over. So if they clip them with their feet, they will fall over and they'll know that they didn't clear it. And that's really it for a clear, guys. We just want to make sure that we're going over and not into the obstacle. We have to make sure we get our feet up high enough that we don't hit it, because if we're doing this outside or doing this somewhere where this isn't an obstacle that will fall over so easily, then we can really hurt ourselves if we don't clear it. So we got to make sure that we're clearing it all the way.
11.
Hey guys, this is Coach Mikey, and we're going to do the gargoyle hang. So the first progression of the gargoyle hang would be to just be on the bar, and you're going to lift your feet up to the bar, and you're probably going to have to help ninjas do this when they're first learning. The next progression will be the same thing, except you're going to let your feet pass through your arms, and then you'll come down and land on your feet. Good. And then the last progression, once they understand that and they're over the fear of going upside down, then we want to actually have them start hanging upside down, or hanging before they let their feet touch the ground. I want them to hang right here and work on that strength. And so that's going to be the last progression of the gargoyle hang. By the way, guys, here are the mistakes for the gargoyle hang. A lot of times kids and ninjas will put their 1 foot outside of their hands. We don't want to do that because then they'll get caught with their arms. We also have kids that try and do it with really long legs, and it's a lot harder to get your legs through when you do that. We also have the kids that go through and catch their feet on the bar and do whatever this thing is, and we don't want to do that. We got to make sure we're spotting them so that doesn't happen. And then we also have kids that just let go. They like go up on the bar and they get upside down and they let go. So you got to make sure that your hands on when they're learning this skill so that they understand that. And here, go ahead and do like half of it. They let go right here, which is bad. We got to make sure that they don't let go of the bar, so we got to be there to help them. And there's your go going. Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and this is the back kick. Sick. When we do the back kick, guys, the first step is going to be fighting stance. We're going to start in that strong stance. We're going to take a step with our back foot. Our heel is going to point at our target. All right? Then we're going to look over our other shoulder, and we're going to kick towards our target with the leg that's farthest away. And we're going to push through our heel, and that's your back kick. The mistakes you're going to see are kids not understanding that they have to turn first, and it's just going to be weird. You have to explain the footwork to them. That's going to be really important. And also, as always, we have to make sure we explain to them that they've got to be kicking at a target. They're not going to do a back kick like backwards. They're going to turn around and do a back kick toward their target. And wherever they're, back kick backwards is not going to do any damage, okay? We have to make sure they're kicking at their target. The other thing you'll see is kids that just kick with a straight leg. Just like the front kick and the side kick, we want to bring our knee up and then kick instead of just swinging it around. And the last mistake that you're going to see will be kids that aren't pointing their heel at the target, because if they're not pointing their heel at the target, then they're not going to be kicking it where they need to kick it to. And also, they've got to look at where they're kicking. If they're not looking where they're kicking, like what if there's a cactus behind them and they kick the cactus? You don't want to kick the cactus. Okay, you've got to look at where you're kicking. That way, you are staying on target, and that's your back kick. Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and this is the front kick. Sick. When we do a front kick, the first progression is going to be, we need to teach these ninjas how to do a fighting stance. All right? We just want to get them in a solid stance that they're going to be able to be consistent with. They're going to start their front kick from this every single time. And they're going to use their back foot to do the kick. This is going to be a stance they can use whenever they're starting a combo. Whether it's a front kick, it's a side kick, it's a round kick, whatever it is, they're going to start here. And that's going to help them to stay consistent with what they're doing. So that's the first thing, is they need to understand the stance they're going to start in. Then you're going to bring your knee up, then you're going to push through your heel with your toes up and step forward. That's going to be your front kick. So we have to make sure that they are they're using their fighting stance and they're bringing their back foot up to do their front kick. And that is your front kick. Now, the mistakes that we see are going to be kids that swing their leg through like they're trying to kick a soccer ball. That's not what we're doing. And we see kids that just stand there and they're loose. They're not using anything in their body. They're just kicking and they're looking down at the floor, and that's not what we want to do. The other thing is we like to tell them to keep their arms up, because in reality they keep their arms up to maintain balance and body control, but also you can explain to them hey, if there's a bird flying in your face, you got to be able to get it out of your face so that you can focus on your kick. Hey guys, this is Coach Mikey, and this is the dash fall. Sick. So the first progression of the dash fall is going to be jumping up onto the mat. And then you sit down and do a dash fall off the mat, or push away. Then the next progression would be a similar drill, but you're going to try and make that more fluid. So you're going to go up, go right back down to your hands, and then dash fall over. And then after that, we're just going to dash fall over. You got to jump up, get your feet up in front of you, and push away from the mat. The dash fall is a very scary thing to do because you're leading with your legs instead of your upper body, which is what we lead with for most of the vaults. So a lot of mistakes we see have to do with where you take off and how high you jump. You want to take off about a leg's length away from the vault. So you can see Coach Mikey is putting his foot out, extending his leg to see how far he should start. And you want to start from about wherever your toe can touch the mat in front of you. If you start too close, then you're not going to have enough room to get your feet up in front, and then you will clip your feet at the beginning of the vault, which will result in you not completing the vault. The other mistake that we see is when people go from too far away, then they end up clipping their bottom on the mat. And if you do that, the mat could fall over, if you're using your mat, but also if you're doing this on a hard surface, that can really hurt your bronchus. So you want to make sure that you take off in the right area when you're doing this fall, and you want to make sure that you push away, land on one foot and then the other, and that is your dash fall. Hey guys, this is Coach Mikey, and this is the cash ball. So when we're learning the cash ball, the first thing we're going to teach our ninjas is how to do a monkey up, and then you're going to sit, monkey up, sit to your bottom, and then push off. The next progression is going to be a cash ball to your bottom. So you're going to cash ball, bottom, push off. Beautiful. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a cash ball where we come around the outside, around the outside, around the outside, like this, and then that way they don't have to get so close with their legs to their body that it's a little easier for them to come around the outside on the cash ball. So then once they have that down, then we need to go straight to the middle. So they're going to push with their arms and go through. Now the big mistakes that we see are, number one, we have ninjas that land on both feet at the same time. We want to make sure we step out of this so that we are not, ouch man, didn't that hurt so bad? We want to make sure that we step out of it so that we absorb the impact a little better. We also have ninjas that hit their feet on the mat. A lot of times it's because they're not pulling their feet, they're waiting too long to pull their feet. And we have ninjas that land on their bahonkus. They land right on their bahonkus, and yes, that is a progression of the skill, but we don't want to be doing that when we're doing the full speed cash. Now, I will mention, whenever you're doing vaults, you want to be working with a mat that's about hip height for the athlete. So this is a good size mat for Coach Mikey and for me and all of the short coaches we have here at Ninja Zone. But for a smaller child, then you're going to want a mat that's about their hip height. And also, it does help to have a Kong vault and a dash vault for this skill, but it is not absolutely necessary. Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and this is the hook kick. Sick. When we do a hook kick, the first progression is going to be fighting stance. And then it's really similar to a back kick, except it's going to kind of be like a backwards back kick. So instead of a back kick, you're going to lift and then extend. With this, you're gonna keep your leg long and then bend it and hook it in. All right, hence the term hook kick. So we want to make sure the steps got to be. The footwork is going to be one of the most confusing things when we do this. We're still going to point our heel at our target. We're going to lift our leg and then pull it around and do the hook. The mistakes that you see are going to be kids that don't keep their legs straight at the beginning and they just do that. It's like a little dance move. We want to also make sure that they're looking at the target. If they're not looking at the target, they don't know what to kick, and they have to make sure they're pivoting. This is going to be a fast skill. It's supposed to go around because with all these kicks, we're doing these to build combinations of skills and tricks. So we want to make sure that whatever they do, that they are pivoting their foot and finishing the skill and turning around. And that is... Hey guys, this is Coach Mike, and this is the round kick. Beautiful. When we do a round kick, the first progression is we want them to understand a front kick and a side kick and a back kick. All right? When we do the round kick, we're going to start in a fighting stance, and then you're going to bring your knee up, then you're going to pivot, and then you're going to extend through your leg. Now, the mistakes that we see, first, and once you do that, you're going to kick all the way around. So you put that together, instead of it being 1, 2, then 3, it'll go 1, 2, 3, and you'll kick all the way around. Now, the mistakes you see are going to be kids that kick like around, and they leave their toes out, and they kick with their toes, and that's not good. You don't want to kick with our toes. That's how you hurt yourself. You want to kick with your shin. And again, we're not teaching these kids how to kick so they can go kick their dog. We are teaching these kids how to kick because it's going to lead to the more technical kicking tricks that we do later on in the program. So we want to make sure they understand though that like their leg, like their shin is like the blade of the sword. And if they're kicking, if you're swinging a sword, you're not going to swing it like this. You're going to swing it and slice. You're not going to swing it and slap. So you want to slice through the air with your shin. And to do that, you have to whip your hip around. You have to turn your hip and make sure. That's why we do the pivot. The other mistake that we see is that kids don't pivot their foot and they try to just do the round kick with their foot staying right where it's at, and that's dangerous. That's how you're going to hurt yourself. You have to make sure they go all the way around, and we want to make sure that they kick all the way through. It's not just kicking to a target, it's kicking through a target, and that's what's going to help them understand the momentum, because they're going to be able to do this into a cart or into another trick, and that is...
Oh.
Hey Hey guys, this is the handstand hold video. So the way that we go from a handstand to a handstand hold is we have to make sure that we are getting completely upside down. And there's a very beautiful, sketchy area between not high enough and too high, and that is upside down. We want to make sure that we are encouraging our ninjas to get to that beautiful area right there where you feel like you're kind of stuck. That's what you want to get to. Like that wasn't even quite there. We want to make sure that we are getting all the way up to that point where we feel like we're stuck in the air, just like when you're standing up. Right now, you're like, I'm standing up right now and I'm stuck, like I'm not falling over. This is falling, right? So if I'm doing a handstand and the whole time I'm falling, then I'm not really doing a handstand, I'm doing a hand fall. So we have to make sure that we're trying to get all the way vertical, and then once we get vertical, we're gonna kind of transfer back from the heel of our hand to our fingertips. So I'm gonna come up here and show you what I'm doing with my hands real quick. So when I'm in my handstand, I'm gonna push with my wrist and then my fingertips, and my wrist and my fingertips. And I'll just do a handstand right here. If you can see, that's how we're gonna hold our handstand, is by making sure we press with our fingertips and press with the heel of our hand. And we wanna make our fingers as wide as we can, because that's just widening the base of what we get to bounce with. And the other part of this, your legs don't have to be completely straight, but just like if you were gonna balance a broomstick on the tip of your finger, it's a lot easier to balance something when it's a straight line and it's a solid piece. So it's gonna be easier to hold a handstand than to walk around in a handstand if your body is tight. So we wanna try and do that too. Big mistakes I see, a lot of times kids will try to throw their head, and we wanna make sure that we stay away from that. We also have kids that try to walk before they understand how to balance. And that's not really gonna help them. We don't wanna just walk with our hands. We want to make sure that we're kicking to a handstand hold, and then once we understand what a handstand feels like, then we can start walking. Hey guys, this is the handstand walk. Woo! So, when we are trying to get to a handstand walk, there's a couple things that need to happen. We have to, number one, be able to kick to a handstand. We have to be able to hold a handstand. I would rather my ninjas be able to hold a handstand for a couple seconds before they try and walk, because they need to understand what it feels like to be balanced. So I'm gonna have them kick up and just try and hold it. And that wasn't a very good example. We want to kick up all the way and be able to hold it for a little bit. But I want to work on control on our handstand before we try and walk. And we'll talk about that in a minute when we get to the mistakes. And then after that, you're just going to be kicking into a handstand, and then you're going to, I think the easiest way is to let your feet kind of fall forward a little bit, and then it's going to make you go off balance, and you're going to walk to stay underneath of your feet. But you have to be careful of that, because if you do it too much, then you're going to fall over. And you want to stay tight when you do this. The biggest mistake that we see is that kids, either they get way ahead of themselves, like they do that kind of thing, or they try and kick up and then try and walk too fast, like they let their body fall way out in front of them. The thing is with a handstand walk is it's like, if you guys, when you were little, did you ever take like a broomstick or something? This is just a big poster, and like balance it on your finger? And you're like, look, I can hold this up, it's just my finger and make it balance, like I'm so talented. Well, yeah, you are really talented, great job. But the thing is, that's all a handstand is. If you're all loose and your knees are bent and you're like flimsy and flailing around like a big wet piece of ramen, then it's gonna be really hard to stay up on top of your hands. But if you stay pretty tight, then you're gonna be able to balance by moving your hands around. So we want to make sure that their handstand walk is controlled, not just kick up and walk, because that's how they get hurt. Some conditioning that I like to do while I'm training ninjas to be able to do this are things like shoulder shrugs, where you're in a handstand and you shrug your shoulders. Not really bending the arms or shrugging the shoulders. You can do that against a wall, and that's a lot easier. You could also do handstand shoulder taps. Same thing, if you do this against the wall, it's pretty easy. but it's a good drill for handstand walks. And then once they get the handstand walk, then they can start like going up onto a mat or down onto the floor and stuff like that. And then once your ninjas can do that, then you can get. Hey guys, we're going to talk about the cart step-in and the round-off. So a cart step-in looks like this. A round-off looks like this. And the way that we get from a normal cart to a cart step-in or a round-off, first is we want to make sure that we are pushing all the way through our shoulders and when we do our cart. And all we got to think about, we have to remember that at the end, we're just going to take this, the foot that's supposed to land second, we're going to instead pull that foot in and land it right next to our first foot that lands. And we want to be looking at our feet. That's something that they should be able to correct themselves. Because if they're looking at their feet, they will know whether they stepped in or not. So have them look at their feet while they're finishing so they can make sure they step in right next to the other foot. And we also want to make sure that they're rounding their body at the end. So shoulders are up to the ears, back is round, because we want to come out of this ready to go into another skill. So this is really good for the shaping of the body for the round off. And it's also, it's just a good skill to know how to do because you can do a cart step in into another skill. So with the round off, one thing we want to make sure we do is I like to have them do this drill. We call it a snap down or a snap up, where you go to a handstand and then you're snapping your feet down and you're snapping your chest up. The key is that you're getting your hips underneath when you do it, because that's what's going to happen in the round off is you're going to snap your feet and your hips underneath. And when you do the round off, you want to make sure that you step far, you reach far, and you're going to kick your legs around as fast as you can. That's one big thing that happens in the round off is you kick your legs faster than in a cart or a cart step-in. And you want to kick both legs really fast. You don't want to kick your legs up and hold them together and land. That's one of the big mistakes we see with round off is people bring their feet together at the top and then try and land. What you want to do is you want to kick the first leg, you want to kick it around as fast as you've ever kicked your leg, and you want to kick your other leg even faster so that it catches up to your foot, similar to a cart step-in. And we want to make sure you kick your legs fast, push through your shoulders,